Hello, this is Leisha Breen with Journey to Greatness, 365 days to your best year yet. And over the past couple days, we've been talking about 3 emotions that can be really devastating. They can hold you back from anything that you may be trying to accomplish. And if you're listening to my podcast, you are an individual who has some lofty goals ahead of you, and you're living your life on fire, so to speak. None of us want to allow jealousy, anxiety, or anger to eclipse our objectives. We talked about jealousy. We talked about how it's a natural emotion that resides in all of us. Some of us are more susceptible or vulnerable to the feelings of jealousy than others, and it really kind of boils down to our childhood. Jealousy in our society, especially in the United States or any Western society, it is more prevalent, and it's because we are in such a competitive society, and we are inundated with the message that we have to be better, we have to be more beautiful, we have to be more wealthy, and we always need to have more. And I don't know when more is enough. And I don't think anyone else does either. But when we see someone that at least appears to have more than us, we can get jealous. And it's a really natural state. And if you're interested in hearing about jealousy and how it can affect you in a very negative way, because we tend to ruminate on this jealousy for days at times, go back to my podcast a couple days ago about it and learn how to squash the feeling, not suppress it, but to allow it to diminish. Today I want to talk about anxiety because at this moment in time, anxiety is a pandemic, and that's worldwide. Probably more of a pandemic than COVID ever was, but it does rank highest among mental health concerns. And it's right up there with depression. And anxiety is an emotion that occurs when you feel like you're in danger or threatened. So that feeling is literally coming from the amygdala, the fight or flight center of the brain. And it can be very positive because it can save our life if we have a car coming toward us. But if we've trained ourselves to be anxious, to suffer from anxiety, and it literally can be a habit. Some of it is genetic, but some of it is a learned habit. Once again, we're not only hurting ourselves and our objectives because we're becoming our own best obstacle, we're harming our body. And in itself, anxiety is a healthy reaction. Like I said, it allows you to respond quickly when you are in danger. So your body and mind have many instant responses. And when you're feeling anxious, your heart rate goes up, your breathing accelerates, your body, it prepares for action, and it gets your mind into a state of alertness, a healthy state of alertness, because you want to be aware when there's a threat coming at you. This experience, though, can be so intense that you become scared of the reaction in itself and start feeling anxious about your anxiety. And anxiety, it is caused by a wide range of triggers. It is, like I said before, partly genetic and partly influenced by your upbringing. In this book by Scott Stossel, it's called My Age of Anxiety. He writes about his anxiety disorder, and he talks about his mother, that she had the same fears that he had, and that his son was also developing the same fears that Scott had, even though Scott wasn't exposing him or talking to him about his particular fears. So it literally was a genetic transference from one parent to the next. And traumatic experiences can be a source of anxiety, and exhaustion, if we allow ourselves to get too tired, can fan the flames of fear. You often see people with burnout who develop a certain fearfulness. And when there has been a long period of time without any relaxation or time off, people forget what it's like to feel carefree and relaxed. And this, again, my friend, when you're not taking care of yourself, when you're not putting self-care first on your to-do list, anxiety kind of creeps up on you. And not taking a time out, not giving yourself time to recoup feeds anxiety, and you get caught into a vicious cycle, like being on a hamster wheel of anxiety. And as the days go by, as the months go by, as the years go by, and you're living with this low grade of anxiety day in and day out, you're literally harming your body. Your organs, your cortisol levels rise, your blood pressure rises, and your body starts to beat itself up from the inside out. Your nervous system is always at the ready to protect you from danger. You produce these stress hormones and you tense all your muscles when you're feeling anxiety. You end up in almost a continuous state of heightened alertness. The part of your nervous system that is responsible for relaxation and recovery starts to perform less and less. It becomes weakened when you allow yourself to be in this constant state of anxiety. And the problem is we're not even aware of it. I often talk about mindfulness and my mindfulness practice, especially with these three emotions, jealousy, anxiety, and anger, because if you have a mindfulness practice, if you meditate once a day, even 10 minutes, you're going to slow down that rapid expression of anxiety that can, like I said, eclipse our life. So it's a very useful way to teach you to create room for signals of stress and anxiety by feeling them and noticing them. Mindfulness practices. And a usual or normal reaction is not wanting to feel anxiety. You try to escape from your own emotions, or you try to fight them. In itself, this creates more and more stress and anxiety within you. But when you do this mindfulness training, you learn to stay with your feelings. You learn to experience them. You learn to stay with that emotion, acknowledge it, and when you do, then it starts to dissipate. And what's more, you can learn to feel mildness and compassion too. Through targeted exercise, you can develop your recuperative ability and resilience. Feelings of anxiety are a normal part of life, as are all other emotions. So let's get on the solution level with anxiety. Some of you that are listening to this may be on anxiety medication, and that may be what you have to do. But I'm a person who lived with anxiety most of my life, and I learned through mindfulness meditation. It did take practice and it did take consistency, but I learned to calm myself down. And I learned that through breathing, in those moments of stress, in those moments that threw me off guard, in those moments where my feelings got hurt, that through deep breathing and then bringing myself back to that state that I would find while I was meditating, and that state that I'm referring to, that centeredness, that calmness, that equanimity, that takes practice. So you have to invest and have faith that you'll reach that point. And I'm not talking about some ethereal experience, although it can happen. I'm talking about this centeredness where you can see these thoughts and these feelings happening in your mind, but you don't judge them and you just let them go. You don't stay there. You don't live there. And when you've reached that point where you have that inner discipline, you can apply that in your daily life. So it's worth the effort. So, like I said, I'm all about getting on the solution level quick because I don't have a lot of time to waste. Like I've said before, I'm 63 years old, and if I'm going to get something done, it's got to get done now. I don't have 20 years or 10 or whatever to just kind of piddle around, as my mother used to say. So let's get down to it. How to feel less overwhelmed. One thing that I've had to face, because I have a lot of things on my plate, and that can create anxiety. There's a lot of things I want to do with the rest of my life. And it means practice, it means effort, it means strategizing my days. And whether you have a laundry list of wonderful things that you want to do in your life, or you just want to get through your day and all the tasks that you have around you, like taking care of the kids or cooking dinner and all the different things that you have to do at work, regardless of what it is that you have to get done, or taking care of elderly parents, whatever it is that you're doing that can cause you stress, I've learned to remember that I don't need to get everything done today. I just need to make some progress in every single area. I can take care of myself and my responsibilities today. And as I've said many times, self-care is so important. It's the first thing you need to do. It's the first thing you need to put on your list, your to-do list. That matters most, because if you aren't well, if you're mentally out of sorts, you're not going to be able to do your best, and you're not going to be able to take care of anyone around you. So my good is compatible with the good of those around me. My good is compatible with the good of the world. And that's how I start my mantra for the day. And as you think about all of the things that you need to do today, you may quickly feel overwhelmed. You may feel anxiety. You have the various areas of your job responsibilities. You have errands to run. You have chores that have to be done. And you still want to take care of perhaps healthy eating or your exercise regime. But keep in mind that today is only one day. And that's something I really had to embrace. I would stress myself out so bad because I thought, oh my God, I have to get all of this done today. And it was like, no. To get something done well, to do a good job, sometimes it takes many days. Sometimes it takes months. The whole thing's a progression. So you don't need to do everything today, as long as you do something to contribute positively to each area of concern in your life. You just have to touch all the bases and do your best when you're touching those bases. Each day should have some attention to your work, to your home, to your family, to your personal development, and yes, to your self-care, and that should be at the top of the list. Today, on this beautiful Sunday, and I don't know when you're listening to this, but today's Sunday for me, and it's my day off, and I'm going to so enjoy it because it's a beautiful Sunday here in Palm Springs, California. Breathe deeply into your heart center when you start to feel that anxiety. And do this going forward. And breathe blessings into your work. Then breathe blessings into your home and your family life. Then breathe blessings into your physical and emotional health. And finally, breathe blessings into all the people in the world. Then breathe blessings into all plant and animal life. Wish for the good of all beings. When you start out that way, when you tell yourself this before you start to work on your projects, whatever they may be, you set the tone for where your mindset's going to be. And then keep in mind that you don't have to get everything completely done, unless you have a deadline at work or what have you, done today. Not everything. It can roll over in tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And some of these things are progressive. Some of these things are a learning process. So you're not going to get it all done in one day. Be compassionate with yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. Remember that we're here to learn and develop, and that regardless of where you are on this journey, that you're a beautiful piece of art, like being painted on a canvas called your life. And that a lot of this is a learning process. And that if you're making mistakes along the way, that's how you learn. Just apply the learnings and move on. Move on and take the lesson with you. But be compassionate with yourself. You wouldn't beat up a baby because it didn't walk on the very first time that it tried. Give yourself that same kind of loving kindness. Be bold, be brave, and always, always be your authentic self. Until we meet again.